All right, so next up here, we're going to do some more multiplication. So number 7, we have a binomial times a trinomial. So I'm going to go ahead and do another 3 by 2 box here. So we put the trinomial on this side, and then the binomial on this side. All right, and so we're going to multiply to fill out the box. So this first one, I'm going to do the 4 times the 6 will be 24. And then p times p squared will be p to the third. This one will be negative 18p squared. This one will be negative 36p. 4p squared, negative 3p, and then negative 6. We'll just combine like terms to finish our answer here. So 24p to the third is all by itself. These two right here, we have a negative 14p squared, and then negative 39p, and then a negative 6. All right, number 8, we have a 2 by 2, so just a 2 by 2 box is all we need. So we have 4x minus 3 on one side, 5x plus 6 on the other. For these ones, remember, it does not matter which one goes where. So now I have 20x squared here, negative 15x, 24x, and then a negative 18. So we're going to we're going to combine these two. But I'll first write the 20x squared actually, and then I'll combine those two, so it's a positive 9x and then a minus 18. All right, number 9 here, once again, multiplying. Now, I actually noticed that these two are what we call conjugates, which means they're like half opposites, so the 2v is the same, but you can see the negative 5 and the positive 5 are opposites. So whenever we have these, we should have these two boxes actually canceling out. But let's just double check it to make sure we do. So we have 4v squared right here. This one would be 10v, this one would be negative 10v, and this one would be negative 25. So we do see that those two cancel out, and we're just left with 4v squared minus 25. Number 10 is a little bit different here, 6x minus 2 squared. Now, first of all, we're not allowed to send that squared into the parentheses because there's subtraction in there. So instead, what we want to do is we always want to just write this twice. That's what the squared means. It just means multiply it by itself. So then we know that this means we're going to multiply these two together with a 2 by 2 box, okay? So anytime we have a adding or subtracting on the inside and a squared on the outside, we are going to multiply it by itself in a box, okay? So this is 36x squared. This one will be negative 12x. This one will be negative 12x as well. And then this one will be 4. So notice that these two do not cancel out on this one. They're actually the same term. So they need to combine here. So these are not conjugates. Conjugates, the two would have to be opposites on one of them. So those don't cancel out. They combine to make negative 24x in this case. And then we get plus 4. All right, and then a little bit more multiplication here. So we get a couple 3 by 2s we'll handle. So we get 24x to the third, 12x squared, 4x, 36x squared, 18x, and 6. So just combine the like terms here. 24x to the third doesn't have one. And then these ones here is going to make a 48x squared. These ones will make 22x, and then I have the plus 6. All right, and then one more here. Do this one on this page. 2x plus 8, 7x squared minus 6x minus 3. So that's going to give me 14x to the third here. Negative 12x squared. Negative 6x. Let's see, this will be 56x squared. And then negative 48x. And then negative 24. And so that is going to combine like terms here. So I'm going to have 14x to the third first of all. I'll combine these two. That's going to make a 44x squared. Yep, that'll be 44x squared. And then these two will combine, and that's going to make a negative 54x. That was actually Mr. Barry's football number. I was positive 54, not negative 54. They don't let you be negative numbers. But then we have a negative 24 there, okay? So there we go. All right, next up here, these questions are actually going to be kind of similar to start off with here. They just kind of write it a little bit differently. So they tell me the two functions, And then we know that this dot here means multiply. So all I'm going to do is just take these two functions and multiply them together. And so then we get this, okay? And so then we know that that means we got to make a box. So I'll go ahead and make my 2 by 2 box here. So I have 2n plus 2. I got negative n minus 4. So it's going to give me negative 2n squared minus 2n minus 8n and then minus 8. And if I combine the like terms, then I get negative 2n squared minus 10n minus 8, and that is it. So same thing we were doing before, they just kind of asked it in a different way. So also here, we know that the minus just means subtract, right? So I'm just going to do h of t first, so 3t minus 4 minus. And what's really important here is you use parentheses, especially on that second one, because our next step for whenever we have this one is to distribute the negative. And when we do that, then it really just turns into combined like terms. These are not now multiplying each other. They're now, it's really, you would think of it as adding. And so my final answer then would be negative t to the third. And then I'll combine these guys, give me negative 2t. And then minus 4 doesn't have a like term. All right, 15 is just saying to add the functions. So we will just add them. So I got 4a plus 5 plus a plus 2. Remember, for addition, we don't really need to distribute anything. We can just go ahead and combine like terms. So I just get 5a plus 7, nice and easy. All right, lastly here, we're doing another multiplication. So it's going to be 4x times x squared minus 4x. This one actually doesn't require a box. I can just distribute that 4x. So it gives me 4x to the third minus 16x squared. All right, next up, number 17. Now this one is actually our composite function. So this is the one where we have to plug the g function into the f function. So this is where we have to take the inner function, which is the 2x minus 1, and we have to plug it in here, and we have to plug it in there. So this is not multiplication, okay? So we're going to do in parentheses 2x minus 1 squared minus parentheses 2x minus 1. So I'm really taking the outer function, the f, but instead of this x, every time I see that x, I'm putting the 2x minus 1 in parentheses. So the x was squared, now the 2x minus 1 is squared. The x here had a negative in front of it, so this 2x minus 1 now has a negative in front of it. So we know now that the 2x minus 1 squared means we need to multiply this by itself inside of a box. We learned that in this video. So then we have 4x squared, negative 2x, and then positive 1. So this is going to give me 4x squared minus 4x plus 1. And then over here, I have to distribute this negative. And so that's going to give me negative 2x plus 1. Last step here is just to combine like terms. And so I get 4x squared. I got negative 4x and negative 2x makes negative 6x. And then 1 plus 1 gives me 2. All right, so same idea here on number 18. So the h is going to get plugged in. So everywhere I see an n, I'm going to plug in 2n minus 4. So it's going to be 2n minus 4 squared minus 5. So in this case, there was only one n in the outer function, in the g function. It was right there. It was squared, so now 2n minus 4 is squared. This is just minus 5. It's not minus 5n, so I don't need to plug it in again. I'm just going to leave that as a 5. All right, so we know we need to do a box here with our 2n minus 4 times itself anytime we have the squared like that. So that gives me 4n squared, negative 8n, and then negative 8n, and then a positive 16 here. So if I combine those terms, it's going to give me 4n squared minus 16n plus 16, and then I'm going to bring down this minus 5. And then I'll just combine these guys, and so my final answer would be 4n squared minus 16n plus 11.